is going on, everybody? Welcome in to the North End Podcast, episode 178. My name is Zach Graham, your host here in the North End, joined, as always, by my good buddy. He's on record as my best friend. His name is Ian Michaud, and we call him E. Coming together Sunday afternoon. Beautiful Austin, Texas. Fantastic weather this weekend. And to be honest, for me, man, a fantastic weekend all around, except for my favorite sports teams. I know I spent a decent amount of this weekend with you, my friend. So sitting here Sunday evening, afternoon, evening, what have you. How you feeling?
Oh, just like you, real life, good.
Sure.
Fandom life, disappointed, frustrated, tired, sad, exasperated, just confused. Yeah, man, it was, had our buddy Big Whack there at the game as well. Got to enjoy that with him, which was it's always great to have some friends there and everything like that. And plenty of good people.
Crazy to look at Whacker next to Profe.
It is pretty crazy.
To the extremes.
Yeah, it is pretty crazy. Shout out Profe. And then to have that game where it's just like for 82 minutes, you're just absolutely miserable. And then you have this breath of life, just in these last waning moments of this game where it's like, are we actually going to pull this off? And it's just the most classic case of Verde balls, TM.
Yeah. God damn, yeah. And just like the least excited I've ever been for a goal or two goals in 7 fucking minutes.
Yep.
Just like can't even celebrate them.
Nope.
And we'll talk about all that here on episode 178. Recap last night's draw against Real Salt Lake. We'll have last business day, checking in on the second team, best keeper in the world, academy update, and maybe a little best ball update at the end of the episode. But before we jump into today's episode, just want to remind you all listening or watching on the YouTube channel that the best way to support the show is by downloading the audio version of this episode wherever you get your podcasts. And wherever you get your podcasts, usually there's a little button you can toggle auto downloads on. You can do that and support the show further without having to think about it anymore. If you want to go the extra mile, you can rate, review, and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. And if you are watching on the YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. It does help us grow the show. You can hit the notification bell to know when a live stream pops up or a new episode goes live. And of course, on this episode, hit the thumbs up, like the video. Help us battle the YouTube algorithm overlords. Atone for your sins. Wash yourselves clean in the stale confetti of the North End. We met in the midweek. Of course, we had the early media availability from Coach Wolf. Guilherme Biru was also present there. So we discussed on the midweek episode some of those quotes from Josh Wolf. Of course, had our second lengthy discussion in as many episodes about his job stability or lack thereof and kind of our thoughts there. But let's just start this off by talking about Coach Wolf again, because no injuries on the injury report on Friday evening. So Matt Hedges, comes off that injury report, which is good to see. But then the lineup comes out, and look, man, like the last few games, I've at least been on the block of like, I think the team's been set up well, set up for success. They were generating a lot of chances, right? Those led to higher XG type of numbers. And again, over that larger sample size, that's indicative of something. I cannot get even right from the start when the lineup came out, I just don't understand why. Number one, there's 2 points here. I guess 3, actually. Number one, where the fuck is Danny? What is going on there? Something's going on. Like 2 games in a row that Danny doesn't start. We're not worried about yellow cards.
Nope.
Coach Wolf himself said that. And of course, because at this point of the season, trying to put your best team out there that you think is going to give you the best chance to win. So no number 6 there. No striker. Jassy on the bench. Diego Rubio on the bench. And Alexander Svatak, again, coming off the bench. So I guess pick your poison there, E. Where do you want to start?
I'll start with Svatak because last episode, that was my main question. Was he going to start this game? I thought he had to start this game. Obviously, you have Chicho Arango in the house, one of the best goal scorers, goal creators in the entire league, probably the front runner for MVP candidate right now. So, like, that was the matchup that I wanted to see. That's what I was all about. We have heard for so long. And I get, and then I always have this conversation with myself, and then I am reminded of what's going on in the real world. And I understand that with him. But, like, at this point in time, I just don't understand why he wasn't starting this game.
Yeah.
And, the lineup comes out, you see that, you see no Pep. Then again, the more questions arise. What is going on with him?
Yeah. Because it's not nothing, right?
No, it is not nothing at this point. This just does not make any sort of sense to me. And then I was okay with the no striker look per se. Like, that wasn't one of the more like, oh shit, like I really dislike this. I really disliked Owen in the starting lineup. And I really disliked not having Pep out there, and I really disliked not having Svatak. And like you said there, I thought you said it pretty well. And I usually don't want to play like Monday morning couch coach who revisits things, and it's like, well, we lost, or we drew, we didn't get this job done, everything, like, what could we have done differently here? But those were just kind of head scratching decisions for me. And if there's any sort of context surrounding Pep right now, I would love to hear it, because we've been touting the fact that he has been the person who connects us from the defensive side of the ball to the offensive side of the ball, and how badly we have needed that throughout the course of the season.
It's not just us. Everybody knows that, right?
Yep,
like, it feels like.
Yeah. His impact out there is, you can see it. It's tangible. It's visible. We get to see it all the time. So
no Danny, no party is not just a meme. Like, there is some fucking truth to that, know? And again, like, I also think that as always, right, then the players have to go out there and execute. And we'll talk about some of the guys, particularly number 10, who I think kind of screwed us in the first half.
Might have went rogue last night.
Yeah.
He might have gone rogue last night.
So, again, starting 11, we had Brad in net. That back line was Dessler, Julio, BHI, Biru. Then you had Alex Ring and Owen Wolf next to each other in that defense. Of course, 5-2-3 was still that look on D. So Ring, Wolf, John Gallagher, Driussi, Bukhari, and Hadar Obrian. Bench, Zardes, Leo, Hector, Rubio, Cleveland, Danny, the Punisher, Svatak, and Ethan Finley. So no Kolmanich and no Matt Hedges in terms of those first team guys that didn't make the bench. Again, it's just it's not often that I feel like I'm scratching my head when that lineup comes out. Plenty of times I'll sit there and second guess after the result. But it wasn't great vibes for me headed in.
And this was just, like I said, it was a head scratcher for sure. And, it compounded and got way worse because Owen played arguably his worst game of the season. Like, it was absolutely terrible to have him out there in that point in time. And, like, I think he probably should have been subbed out at halftime. But again, it comes back to what's going on with Pep, but still, like, I don't know if it can, like, I don't want to speculate too much, but it can, like, could it be disciplinary? I don't think so. Like, is he the only guy?
It's not talent, though.
I don't know. I don't know what is going on. I don't know if they have seen something that they want to change with that. And like we have said in the past that we like Owen's versatility off the bench. I feel like Owen was really coming into his own off the bench where we could kind of move him around, getting a little bit more comfortable, and you thrust him in here and he puts up an absolute stinker of a game. And he cost us the game pretty near. Like, you give up that PK. And obviously we don't know how it's going to play out if that doesn't happen and everything like that. But like, fuck, man, like, it was just the worst time to have your worst game of the season.
Let's go ahead and jump in here, and we can start in the 11th minute. Dessler and Osman combining here down that right side, coming towards the north end, and Buka pops across towards the back post where John Gallagher is, and he heads it down right into the path of Hadar Obrian, but gets cleared out. But Austin stays in possession here. Guilherme Biru, who was in an advanced position. Like, the further we got into this match, the closer to being our striker was Guilherme Biru, but he's up there. He switches it from left to right. And then Dessler comes right back, changing it to the left side. And this is where, I think we were like 6 minutes in, and RSL had a couple chances that, were a little nervy, and like, this might be a long night. And right here, I don't understand why Mikkel changed the ball right back to the other side, because I thought we had him and Buka, and we had Owen Wolf shifting to that side. And again, that feels like, especially in the 11th minute, feels like a pretty good trio to try to go to work there down the right, but changes it all the way back. And Biru, to his credit, pretty sweet move to kind of just discard Marksic here and gets John Gallagher in some space. He tries to play a give and go with Hader, and Matty Crook steps in, but it bounces right back to John Gallagher, and he has a hit, but it's right at McMath. But again, like 10, 11 minutes in, that was kind of the first signs of any sort of offensive threat for the good guys. And our only shot on target between the start of the game and the 70th minute right there. And again, it was not super threatening.
Nope, not at all. And like, this was the first game where we saw a real disconnect on that right side of the field with Buka and Dessler. Just as I said that, Owen had arguably his worst game of the season. I would have to go back and, just to be able to rank it, but like it's in the top three. And for me, this was Buka's worst performance of his young Austin FC career here, despite maybe getting, 2 yellows in the Leagues Cup matchup. But there was a huge amount of disconnect between Dessler and Buka last night, and you saw the frustration start to really boil over with Buka. We were unable to get him the ball and put him into dangerous spots. And then when we even did get him the ball, he just really did not look like himself. I don't know if he felt a little bit out of place, like you talked about with the lineup here, where it was essentially 2 strikers. It's Hader and Buka up front there. I don't know if he was disgruntled about that, but again, you still got to go out there and do your job, man. This is as minimal amount of hope as we have left with this season. You got to show up. And like, I don't, you shouldn't need another grown man to tell you, like, bro, you got to be on your shit today. Like, this is what y'all do. So like, I was just disappointed in that. I know that was a long-winded answer. I was also very confused with the Dessler change of field again, because he took away the entire advantage we had just gained from a really good change of field.
Yeah. And again, that's such a small thing in the full scope of the 90 minutes, but right in front of us there, it was maybe just kind of etched into my brain from the first 15 minutes or so. You do get on the rewatch this morning, you get to hear the broadcasters and how they were taking in the match and of course announcing it to everybody watching on Apple TV. And Brian Dunseth says, it's been incredible to watch this team, meaning Austin, figure out creative ways to drop points. I was like, yeah, that is pretty accurate.
Incredible is not the word I would use.
18th minute, Austin wins their second corner of the first half here. And there's shouts for a handball, quickly waved away by the official, but on that corner, ball's played in, and the whistle blows. And I don't know, man. In my experience, when a ball is live in almost any sport, and a whistle blows because 2 guys got tangled up and there was contact, it's a fucking foul. It's not a restart, right? It's like, if before the corner happens, yes, then we stop play and we talk to everybody. But when the ball's in play, then it's a foul. And even if it's on Julio here, like, I just thought, I don't think the officiating changed the outcome of the game last night. I didn't think it was super sharp either in a couple of situations that we'll get to. But anyway, so like on the retry of the corner here, I don't know what Julio is doing. I mean, I know what he's doing. I just think it was dumb, because right after the head official gets done talking to Julio, and I think it was Ojeda that he was tangled up with, maybe Vera, I don't remember, but Julio just runs and trucks Chicho like Chicho was like taking a charge in the paint on a basketball court. And like, it was so close to when the official was talking to him. We were literally all staring at Julio, including the ref. And it just, again, it came off as like a really boneheaded type of play to me, because like, we need all the corner kicks we can fucking get, man.
Yep, you took that one right out of our pocket, man, and I just don't know why, because I'm also surprised he didn't get a yellow card for this. Like, he just runs almost full tilt directly into Chicho's chest and just absolutely blasts him. We lose the ball, obviously. Don't understand why we're getting whistles blown during play that don't actually result in something. Wasn't the first time, or wasn't the last time in this matchup, because it happens again later. But I mean, one of the most interesting matchups of the night was the ref versus Chicho Arango, and Chicho just absolutely abused this man.
Yeah.
Like, was doing whatever he wanted, was down all the time, was holding up play, was complaining, and he just does not, and fouling people on top of that. I mean, I counted 3 or 4 times where it's like, okay, that's another foul. Like, what are we doing here? To your point, referees did not cost us this matchup. This is a stupid play by Julio. There's just no other way to really say it. It's a dumb play. It's dumb.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of Chicho, right, it was 26th minute where I didn't see what happened here live. Maybe you did, and you could fill me in a little bit more. They didn't, like when I rewatched the broadcast this morning, there wasn't a great look at it either. But to your point about Chicho, right, like something happens. He gets in front of Brad Stuver on a goal kick here in the 26th minute. And again, I don't know. I think the broadcasters were kind of hinting at maybe Brad was trying to, again, kind of get into the path of Chicho to maybe draw a yellow there. Like Chicho sits down or falls down or got hit or whatever. So there's a little bit of delay. And then 2 minutes later, again, maybe Brad did kind of target Chicho there because Coach Mastroeni on the Real Salt Lake side gets a yellow card from the head official, I assume, for dissent there. 37th minute, Brendan Heinzike turnover here, just passing to nobody.
Yep.
And Chicho gets onto it, puts in a great through ball on this quick counterattack for Salt Lake to Diego Luna, and he's kind of in on Stuver, and Brad is caught in no man's land. I don't know if it's really to any fault of his own on this one, because it was like, I think you got to credit Chicho with the pass and Luna with the run, but Diego Luna pops it past Stuver, and he's got a tap in, and like one of the plays of the season.
Yes.
By Julio Cascante here to catch up to Diego Luna, who is definitely faster than Julio, and to clear it out with just a sweeping challenge. To do that without fouling him and potentially getting a red card for denying the tap-in goal. Like, I stood up, standing ovation, man, for Julio on this play. That was fantastic.
Absolutely. That was one of the best plays of the season. It's like a chase down block almost, and for him to get back and recover that and like to be able to keep that
it's
goal.
As good as a goal.
Yeah, it was absolutely massive. I stood up as well. I think that was probably the most excited I was the entire game.
First half at least.
Was this play, and everything. And like, I want to be like, oh, well, it makes up for what you just did down there, but it really doesn't. It's a great, fantastic play, but like, we also just don't need you to do really dumb things at points in time during the game.
42nd minute, long ball from John Gallagher on a counter. Bukhari gets a touch to deflect it forward past that last defender. It rolls right in the path of Hadar Obrian. So you've got Obi and Osman in on net here. I thought this was a poor pass from Obrian, and not necessarily that the pass was poor, but that he could have played Osman much sooner and let Bukhari go do the work. Bukhari can dribble right around McMath here and have a tap in of his own. But so this pass comes, again, in my eyes, a little bit late. It allows Zac McMath to come off his line and get a touch before completely trucking Osman. Like, that looked even worse on the broadcast on replay. But, I mean, he does get to the ball first, and I thought it was good goalkeeping and really unfortunate for us. Like, that has to be a goal. We don't even get a shot off again.
Yep. Nope. It has to be a goal. And like, the pass is just poor. It's just too late. It just doesn't make any sort of sense. I don't think it was a PK. Like you said, McMath is there first, and he has the right to that space as well. There's a lot of contact. And I don't know if this kind of pissed Puka off for the rest of the night, but you really start to see his play diminish after this moment.
Well, yeah, and I don't think it was just like that moment. Like, that certainly was a little bit of kind of like a wind out of your sails type of moment. Like, we're coming up to the half here. We should have scored. He knows that. Everybody in that stadium knew that. But throughout the first half, again, there was just really little to no connectivity with Austin in possession. Obviously they've been trying to counter a lot more when they have the opportunity to do so, to launch long balls out there to Seven, out there to Obrian, guys like that. And it just looked bad. And again, I guess I don't have this in the notes. It was a quote from Coach Wolf in the post-game presser that opened my eyes to this, because I was screaming about this to you, to our buddy Shane, his pops who was there. And I'm sure they're just like, well, this guy's a lunatic. But like, I don't understand why we didn't have a true striker in the middle, because I feel like Giassi and Rubio, while they're not all-star caliber type of guys at this point of their career, I think they do a good job of dropping back from that striker position into the midfield to help guys like Owen or Alex or Danny when he's back there try to connect from, through the midfield. Because when we don't do it, there's just nobody there. So how are we supposed to progress the ball? And I was saying at halftime, I thought Driussi was just up there floating around doing nothing because we have nobody dropping back. And you see Coach, or if you read Phil West, Verde all day, right? He puts a quote in there from Coach Wolf saying, yeah, we had Seb up there. The idea was for him to drop back, and he just wasn't doing that in the first half. And so, again, we wonder, does Seba just go out there and do his own thing sometimes when he's frustrated? And sometimes that can be to our benefit. But for me, it was glaringly obvious that we had a massive hole there. And I cannot get on board with the idea that the coaching staff told them to do that. And he says it, Coach Wolf says it after the match. Driussi was not doing what he was supposed to be doing there. And again, that's a problem. I don't have any grand conclusion from that. Yeah. I think that's some evidence of, again, disconnect between our best player and the head coach.
Yep.
But you still just can't have that.
Nope. I mean, it was as clear as day that there was just nowhere to be. He was nowhere to be found in the middle of the field. Alex and Owen were put in just awful situations when we did progress the ball to them into the middle of the field because they had nowhere to go. And if we're sitting there and just what is going on? There's nobody in the middle of the field to come get this ball. And then you hear this quote after that's what he was supposed to be doing. It is a bad look. And it hurt us. And I think that was part of a larger disconnection that we had throughout this game with Buka and other guys in Dessler. And then you had those really as poorly as Owen played, I can't put this part of the game on him because there was just nowhere for him to go a lot of times. And I don't know.
There was a couple. There's the one time I think near the end of the first half that stood out to me where he's kind of at the point we have them push back into their defensive third, and he just kicks it straight out of bounds, trying to get it to Dessler. So I don't want to let him off the hook because that. No. I really think, despite the PK that we'll get to later, again in the first half, he was hurting us too.
Yep.
We didn't have that help in the midfield, but individually it was still quite poor.
Yep. Right there.
45th minute. Again, I have in the notes, what the fuck is the official doing? Because Cascante heads an Austin corner over the bar out for a goal kick. Zach McMath runs to the boards, grabs the ball, throws it out there, boots it. The ball is still moving, right? The ball has to stop on the goal kick. So I understand why the official brings this back here, but he doesn't blow the whistle until the ball is clearly heading out of bounds, right? So you basically let them play this advantage. If this ball wasn't going out of bounds, were you going to blow the whistle? I don't know. And again, Verde tinted lenses. We're amped up. We're emotional in the stadium. But when watching it back on the replay this morning, I still feel like the timing was just a little bit suspect there. What are you looking at? Why was that? Why didn't you stop it when he kicked it?
Yeah.
Right. I don't get it.
And then you take into account what happened earlier where we have a whistle during the live play and everything. And then some stuff happens later. We get, what would have been a yellow card in Next Pro by kicking the ball because of RSL players just standing right in front of a dead ball and everything. So it was odd, man. It was strange.
Third minute of stoppage here. Austin gets another corner kick. And on Ring's kick, Julio goes down. Austin brings that ball down, and little give and go between Obi and Dessler on the right side gets disrupted, but that ball falls to the feet of Driussi, and he puts a powerful shot just a few feet wide. And again, I think he's got to do better. That's got to be on frame.
It's got to be on frame. I don't know what Julio's doing. Just
he did, dude. He got hit on this one.
But still, you got to get up here. He's blocking the front of the net. And I don't know if Seba took that into account because there's just a body on the ground in the middle of the field. But he's not going to get that call. Not after what he did earlier.
Yeah, sure. So coming out of the half, no changes. And again, I thought we might see some there. 48th minute. Another Heinzike turnover here after what I think was a frustrating passage of Austin possession in and
Mhm.
around the Salt Lake penalty area. But Salt Lake here works a solid counter. Austin was able to turn them away for a moment, but Salt Lake stays in possession. Then changing ball from Ojeda left to right goes over the head of Biru. Again, Austin a little bit imbalanced coming back off this counter, but it goes over the head of Guilherme, falls right to Chicho. He rips a shot. Great save by Stuver, but the rebound goes right to Matty Crooks, who is a big bastard. And he pops it home for the lead, and there goes all the air out of the stadium.
Yep. And I mean, it was not a lot of juice in that stadium last night. Sparse in the supporter section, a lot of green seats available throughout the stadium. So like,
I've never audibly laughed when they announced the sellout. Like we all know that, they buy up the tickets, they give them out. That's how they get the sellout streak to continue. But like last night, it was just like, man, come on.
Yeah, come on. Don't do us like that. And they're pumping in the stadium noise and everything like that. And like, it was just not that popping last night, and understandably so. Like you got to
give the fans something to cheer for.
Exactly. We have been all but eliminated here. Obviously, VHLM is still a thing, and there's plenty of passionate fans who are showing up and will be showing up to the end of this game. But it was just not the usual atmosphere that we have. And this was just kind of felt like, okay, this is an easy way out to like not be rooting for this club anymore.
Yeah. 59th minute, yellow card to Justin Glad, kind of tugged on Driussi there in the midfield. The next minute, 60th, Ojeda runs through Obrian in the box. There's shouts for a pin, of course, coming from the fans as well. But on the replay, it looks like shoulder to shoulder. And I think I thought that was a good call by the official, a good no call, rather. Play on.
I agree.
61st minute, you get Anderson Julio and Diego Gonçalves in for Chicho and Diego Luna. And just like, I can't wait till our roster's like that. 62nd minute, Austin gets out on a counter here, starting with a Stuver toss to Driussi. Bukari crosses in and floats to McMath. RSL goes back the other way. Gonçalves has a hit at the top of the box. And again, we have gone back to the north end here with Driussi, the last guy coming back. And again, I'm not saying you shouldn't be frustrated here, but you're 20 yards behind Galley and Bukari and all those other teammates here getting back that were just on the counter with you. Anyways, Gonçalves here has it here at the top of the box. He kind of like lofts a pass up to one of his teammates that was making a run, and Owen Wolf kind of caps off his terrible night with a handball here. And this was a bad handball. Like he sticks his hand out to like try to make a play on it, or his arm rather, forearm. And so the play actually goes the other way. They don't call it initially. And we could see Owen Wolf grimace when he did it, knowing that he's about to be called for a penalty. So they review it. Gonçalves steps up, sends Brad Stuver the wrong way. And it's 2-0. Shout out to Brad. Got the north end hyped up before the penalty. He was ready, but unfortunately couldn't get the stop.
I mean, blatant handball, just really, really bad. We got to talk about some of these offsides plays by Buka, man. Like, I don't want to go this whole game without addressing
good call.
Because like there was plenty of times where he was doing that same thing. You saw multiple times him throwing his hands up in the air when he's not getting the ball. I understand there's some frustration there and everything like that, but bro, he had 3 offsides penalty calls where it was just like, dude, you're not even trying to get back right now to give us some sort of advantage. You have Seba trailing here, and like it was just a mixture of poor effort plays by a lot of different guys out there.
And again, like right after the second goal, you get the double change. What's that?
Sorry. Like also, we should have subbed earlier. There was no fucking reason that Owen Wolf should still be in this game. None. Yeah. It was no reason for him to still be in this game.
To me, it just like, I don't know if poetic is the right term, but like for Owen to be the one that gives up that second pen. And then again, it's like you're a minute too late with the sub because Owen's coming off here, right? Yep. You get Danny and Rubio in for Osman and Owen. And that's another name, right? You only get 66 minutes out of Bukari, and it's a double game week, but okay, it's do or die right now. So like we're not, and I don't think he's played a full 90 for us. I think the closest we've gotten is 89 minutes, if I recall correctly. But again, it's just, and I know Obrian like gets the goal eventually, and he's our leading scorer, and he's been great, like all things considered.
But he's not Bukari.
I just don't like, why is Bukari coming out?
Yeah, he's not Bukari. Like obviously, like I don't know. I could not tell you, bro. I mean, like, it can't be a fitness thing at this point. There's no way.
No.
There's no way it's a fitness thing at this point. I don't know if it's something where it's like you see the writing on the wall and you're not going to just like try to run this dude in the ground for a less than 1% chance of make the playoffs and potentially put him in harm's way going into the next season, because obviously there's a pretty quick turnaround in this league and everything like that. But it's just like we were so juiced up for him. We were so juiced up for Svatak, and now we are not getting 90 minutes out of either of those guys. And that is fucking concerning.
77th minute, you get another change here for Austin. Ethan Finley comes in for Mikkel Dessler. Then you get Brook and Chang in on the RSL side for Marksick and Crooks. 82nd minute. Of course, Austin throwing everything forward, needing 3 goals with less than 10 minutes left in regulation. I'm definitely sitting there with my arms crossed, pouting, thinking about 2025. And here, Ethan Finley puts in a cross from that left side, and it's kind of cleared up into the air after a deflection, and it's cleared kind of to the left side of the top of the box here. John Gallagher comes down with it, or right side rather. Gally comes down with it, and he cuts middle. I don't think this was a pass. I think this was a poor touch by Gallagher, but it falls right into the path of Obi, and he just kind of first times it and rolls it past Zach McMath, and 2-1.
A rather lackluster goal for this to go in, but it goes in. And like you said, I'm sitting there too, just like it's hard to even celebrate this, man, because it was just like we're gonna score 3 fucking goals here in 10 minutes, and we haven't scored 3 goals. I don't. When was the last time we scored 3 goals? And again, just a little too
Pumas.
Too little, too late, man. It's just it's frustrating.
So 2-1, 5 minutes later, again, Austin's got as many guys forward as they possibly can. There's a good combination play here near the top of the Salt Lake penalty area between Obrian, Driussi, and Ring. And then there's a little 1-2 from Ring to Seba. And then he has an angle to send Germe Biru in on McMath and overcooks the pass out for a goal kick. The next minute, you get a double change. And again, this one here, I think Julio might have been hurting and needed to come off, but we wait till the 88th minute to bring on Svatak, and then, Johan Valencia for Alex Ring. It's like fucking human white flag at that point. It wasn't, but it feels like it.
Yeah, for sure. And I thought you had a really good point last night when we were in the stadium watching the game, because we were putting BHI in a lot of situations where he had to be the distributor. And it's like, if we had Svatak in the center of this little 5-back when we're in the defensive unit, then you can have Julio distributing that ball. And you saw a couple really shit turnovers from BHI last night that were just really bad efforts and attempts. And regardless of where you put Julio on the field, he is going to move up the field and advance himself and try to find ways to throw himself into the action here. So that seems like a logical kind of situation to me. And again, it just comes back to this fucking Svatak cloud of mystery that is hanging over this team. And you bring him in and everything, and he comes right on the field immediately. You saw what he does. He starts directing guys. He's telling dudes where to go. And it's just like, shit, dude, we need that so badly on the back of this line and the back of this team and everything. And it's just so frustrating that we cannot get him a start.
Yeah.
And if we get him a start now in these last 3 games, you're like, what? Why? It's over now.
89th minute. Again, it wasn't quite over, because after that change, after the 2 subs, Austin right back into a threatening position here. And Driussi gets it right this time. A line-breaking ball over the top, lofted in perfectly for Biru, who does well to bring it down and bury it past McMath to equalize. So we get 6 minutes of stoppage. And again, I was super subdued celebrating the goal, but I was then on the edge of my seat for the stoppage time, because if we get one, then it's pants off at Q2. I mean, we're partying. Then the season again would still be pretty much over, but it would have been fun.
It would have been fun.
Off the kickoff, man, Austin gets a favorable bounce here in the midfield, and we've got a 3-on-3 break with Rubio in the middle, Danny on the right, Seb on the left, and Rubio again gets his touch, gets it out to Pereira down the right, and he's got Driussi with some space on that left side. and the ball he plays just goes straight out the opposite end line. Like, it's nowhere close to anyone or anything, and it just wasn't. It wasn't very Danny right there. Nope. Like,
and again, he's probably in his own head. Like, we're gonna have to talk about the shit that happened after the game with him as well, and like clearly something is boiling over with him right now, and that really sucks.
Second minute of stoppage, you get Palacio in for Anelli. The next minute, Austin earns a corner, and nothing doing off that Danny corner, but Austin stays in possession. They get it back out to Danny down that left side. He charges towards the end line in the south end, puts in a low cross to the feet of Guilherme Biru, who redirects it towards net, just inches wide of the right post. I think, again, I thought Guilherme played very well. But that should have been the winner, probably. Like, I think you probably got to at least put it on frame there.
I think more often than not, he's able to bag that. And I think I texted you. The first thing I said to you this morning is, oh my God, could have had the Biru brace for the fucking win and just the craziest comeback we've ever experienced and everything. And he's right there. Johnny is also right there. But again, a microcosm of this season as a whole took place in these last couple of minutes here. You have the Danny opportunity to get the ball to Seba. We don't even need some sort of absolute dime to get the ball to our number 10 here and just give him a chance. You have this situation where Biru's there. He's just scored a goal. We know he's got good touch around net, and it goes a little wide. Johnny was also standing there in that same kind of space, occupying that. So, it just sucks, man, because we were right fucking there to, be able to really genuinely steal 3 points, which we've been begging this team to do for how long has it been now? Since Nashville.
Yeah. When we do it, again, we had 6 minutes of stoppage. In that final minute, you get a yellow card to Chang for delaying a restart off an Austin free kick that they won kind of near the bench area there. We got Brad Stuver all the way up there for that final set piece. And nothing doing on the set piece service from Danny. And then we do get the exciting full field Stuver sprint. Yeah. But again, final whistle blows. And then Danny, not done. And I'll say this. I did not see this happen. I have not seen anybody be able to provide pictures or video of it happening. I'll be interested to see if that surfaces. But they do mention it on the broadcast. And then the broadcast cameras do catch kind of the end of this little, I don't know what, tantrum, fight, whatever. And it's between teammates here.
Yep.
And the best interpretation I have of it from people who saw it, including the broadcasters who caught it live, was that Danny took exception to something John Gallagher did or said, and physically chest bumped him, and then also had words with Giassi. Which again, if you're having words with Giassi, man, I don't know. I'm just gonna assume you're in the wrong because he's a fucking Boy Scout. Yeah. And then what the broadcast caught was him kind of coming past a trainer who's handing out water bottles to the guys, and he grabs the water bottle and gives the trainer a high I'm pissed high five, and drops the water bottle. So that was on camera. But again, something's going on with him, and whatever it is, it ain't good.
No, it is not good. And this is bad. We can call the other stuff not good. This right here is bad. It's a bad look. I understand he's frustrated. Again, we keep speculating that something is going on here. And this just kind of gives even more life to that idea, because now he's taking his frustrations out elsewhere and everything like that. And, he had the opportunity to play 2 really nice balls here at the end of this game to help his team out, and the job didn't get done. So, if something was said from Johnny G, I don't anticipate Johnny G saying anything just completely out of pocket, right. Wild, to warrant a physical bump with John. So yeah, man, it hasn't been as shit as it was last year, because last year was the real depths of hell with this team. But this is getting up to that point, and you're just seeing another collapse in the month of September for this team. And that is not when you want to be collapsing. It's when you want to be hitting your stride.
51% possession for Austin FC, 20 shots to 16 in favor of RSL, 7 on target to 5, also in favor of the visitors, 6 corner kicks to 6 in favor of Austin. Austin FC, 2 big chances created, 1 missed. 11 of those 16 Austin FC shots came from inside the box. Austin also blocked 7 of the 20 shot attempts from Salt Lake. XG model on FOTMob, 1.7 for Austin, 2.09 for RSL. So again, 1.7 of non-penalty XG to 1.3 for RSL, and expected goals on target, 1.47 for Austin, 1.42 for RSL. But for me, again, not to discount the work the guys did in the last 15 minutes of the match to, again, scratch and claw back that point and almost get all 3. But the vast majority of that came from those last 15 minutes. It still counts, right? But just not to overlook how ugly offensively the first 75 or so did look.
And you gotta come out of the gates like that. Like this is do or die right now. This is win and need a shitload of things or go home. And and it's just like too little, too late. And I do tip my hat and applaud them for playing till the final whistle and going hard until the end of this game. But like, you got to have that intensity, that fire right out of the gate. You give up this PK again, which we have said would eventually come back to bite us in the ass. It does here really badly because you mentioned those figures, those stats and everything like that, and it looks solid. Like I said, this is one of the highest, possession teams, average possession per game in the league, but they also have the ability to score, which kind of separates them from a lot of the field. You get your 16 shots, you get 11 on net. You have this type of action being created, and you have this terrible handball that gets given up. You give the other team a free goal, you spot them this one, and then you're once again just trying to dig yourself out of a hole that is too deep to get out of. And in a vacuum, if you had gotten this result at some point in time earlier versus this RSL team where you're able to have this great comeback and salvage a point, it would have been a bit of a cause for celebration because it's like nobody expected us to get a point down 2-0. It's the 82nd minute before we actually put something behind god-awful McMath. And but again, it's just we're here now and you have to find ways to win games. And this team has not won a match in their last 5 contests.
Yeah. And it does stink that you couldn't really enjoy like the good comeback that it was to save a point. Cause like in any other scenario where you're not up against it, like you said, you could have at least had a little bit of a smile walking out of there, but it's still just like, dead team walking.
Yeah, just put us out of our misery at this point.
Yeah. So post-game presser, of course, filled with questions about Josh Wolf's future. We'll see, man. Again, I think we're just talking in circles if we keep talking about what we have over the last 2 episodes. I don't really expect it to happen tomorrow because what's the difference between this Monday and last Monday? We were still less than 1% chance and still mathematically alive after these games. So I still expect them, if they're going to can him, to either wait till the day after they're mathematically eliminated or just at the end of the season. But again, there is also, just like our playoff hopes, there's also the non-zero chance that Josh Wolf is going to finish out his contract here. And again, it'll be interesting to see if, what happens if that happens.
It'll be interesting for sure.
So in that press conference, the quote that I wanted to highlight from Phil's article, again, go subscribe to Phil if you have not yet. Again, if you're listening to us, you don't sub to Phil, I don't know what you're doing. You got to complete your Verde content circle there.
There we go.
Phil talking about or listing the quote here from Coach, explaining the different type of offensive setup here, said, because again, we were still in that 5 back on defense, but more of a 4-4-2 and at times amoeba-ish at the front in my eyes, because again, Driussi not dropping back. Coach said the setup was that Obi and Buka were the strikers and Seba would be down behind them in the midfield. He just wasn't coming down in the first half, and it was to have their speed and their verticality, and the opportunities are there to play behind the line. We miss a lot of those in the first half of those chances, and that's the stressful part. If you can get in the wide areas and make their backline move, they're ultra aggressive. So there were some good situations early, but that's the idea. They were our 2 forwards, and now our wide guys with Johnny and Mikel They're more like half and half wingers. You can see how it causes their lines to move. We have to be thoughtful about how we bring it in the wide areas, but there were opportunities to create better situations in the final third, but it does stress them physically. And again, what stands out to me is the line about Driussi not doing what he was tasked to do in the first half. I'm a little bit, again, as the soccer novice, at least when we started this podcast over 2 years ago, the fact that I could sit there at halftime and be upset about the same thing that the coaches were upset about, pat on the back to me.
Yeah, there we go. And it looks like it looks like it probably came up in the locker room because it did change in the second half. And like, you're just going through that. And that just sounds awesome for Seba to have those two guys be in front of you and to be able to put them into space. Like that's, you can do that with, like some exceptionalism. So like once I heard that quote, I was like, God damn. So like we did have a nice game plan for this setup in the first half. Yeah. And it just, for one reason or another, he chose not to do it. And
yeah, well, I don't know if it was a nice game plan, right? Because even if he's dropping back, that doesn't fix all the connectivity issues we were having on the wings. But we weren't executing the game plan to the best of our ability.
Yeah, and I mean, it seemed like we wanted to be able to funnel the ball through the middle to him to get to those guys out there on the wing. And like you saw plenty of times in that first half where Alex and or Owen turned and like there's just a vacated space with no green jerseys there. And that just doesn't make sense to me.
Anything else for you on this game?
No, man. I think I got it all out there. It's just kind of reserved because it's just it's the writing's on the wall, and like it is what it is. It's all but done at this point.
Well, let's go ahead and preview, as we do have another match coming up here on Wednesday, and just a shout out in advance to every Austin fan that will stay up late and risk, getting a good night's sleep headed into their workday on Thursday to stay up for this match that, again, mathematically has meaning, but for all intents and purposes, probably going to be the official end of the line. You and I will be there yelling at our TV screens until damn near midnight. So Portland Timbers on the road, right? Providence Park, a place where Austin FC has never won. They did pull a draw there last year on Will Bruin, where again, like, we need that mentality. You could bring the dancing bear in and put him on the field, and I would feel okay about that at this point. But like, to think back about this all-time head-to-head series, right? We've got just 2 wins in the 8 matchups, so 2 wins, 5 losses, and a draw. We beat Portland the 2 times we played them. We have not beaten Portland since August 21st, 2021, and only 1 draw in that time. So again, forgive me if I don't have a ton of hope headed into this one, just based off the historical matchup.
Yeah, no, I don't know if that streak is going to get snapped here because this Portland team is quite a tall task, and they're even better when you play them up there in Providence Park.
Yep. So again, their recent form, right? They've been not totally leaving the door open for all of us. They did draw against Vancouver last night, 1-1. It would have helped. Like, we would have had a much more, not a much more like real lifeline, but we wouldn't have had to be talking about this goal differential that we're going to bring up here in a second if Vancouver could have got the job done. But Portland gets a point without Evander last night, who was suspended, I believe, on yellow card accumulation. They also drew RSL 3-3 last weekend up there at Salt Lake. And in those last 5 games as well, you've got a 4-2 victory at home over a team like the LA Galaxy, a 1-0 victory at home over Seattle Sounders. Portland is just, like most of our opponents over the last month or so, just a better team than us right now.
Absolutely. And we talked about with this RSL club, their ability to score. Well, Portland has more goals than them on the season. I think they're the highest scoring team in the Western Conference. They can really fill it up. I was just looking at their stats, and I know on FOTMob, I know it's going to be different on MLS. You got 29 contributions from Evander, who is one of my all-time favorite players to watch play soccer in this league. He's fantastic. Cabecita, 16 goals, just an absolute goal-scoring machine. You got Felipe Mora, a bunch of names that are just really high-quality players, and they're just a different beast when you play them up there in Portland. And it's going to be rough, I think.
Yeah, when you include the the secondary assist that the league counts, you go to the league site, that Evander goal contribution number, 33 of them in 25 games, 15 goals, 18 assists. You mentioned Cabecita, 16 goals, 7 assists to his name as well. Again, somebody that we could have maybe tried to go after in the spring. I don't know. Again, we'll deal with that when we get there. You mentioned Mora, 14 goals, 6 assists. Santi Moreno, opposite way, 6 goals, 14 assists. So again, like the most offensively potent team in the Western Conference. They are second only to Inter Miami in goals per match across MLS this season. Very middle of the pack in terms of their average possession. And they'll give it up to just 5 clean sheets on the year. Again, I mentioned one at home 4 games back against Seattle. And overperforming their underlying metrics a little bit, right? They're just 9th in expected goals at 50 on the FOTMOB model. So again, running a little bit hot, but that's, that happens sometimes. And again, 50 goals is still pretty impressive in its own right, or at least not below average. So got our hands full here.
I mean, that number makes sense to me when you just take a look at the talent of the guys who are scoring these goals. You're going to get like XG of like a 0.05 for an Evander fucking sweeping goal over top of the keeper and everything like that. So like that kind of makes sense to me. And, on the positive side for Austin, you look at their defensive unit up there for Portland, and it's just not a very good one. They do struggle to stop opposing teams. I think they have given up 54 goals. So like this is a team that you can score on. That 1-0 clean sheet is a bit of a surprise, but we know that Sounders team likes to play a little bit slower. They don't have a super high-powered offense that you see from a lot of these other upper echelon Western Conference opponents that Portland has run into and everything like that. So, if you want to get into the good guys here, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I mean, again, are we going to see Danny start? Like, I would think so, but then the after the match stuff, like, again, something's going on. So I would be probably like a 50-50 on if he's going to be in the 11. Again, not coming off I would love to see Svatak get a start. That's still my take there. Give me Jassy or Diego. I don't care which one. Give me a striker. Give me somebody that's going to go in there and do what they're asked to do. And again, I don't know, man. Like, there's no magic answer here because, again, the way to get into the playoff or just the 9 seed now, right? Like, so 3 conditions, okay? Got to win out, right? So you beat Portland, you beat LA Galaxy on the road, then you beat Colorado at home. Like that's a tall task. But also, like, if that was it, okay, like let's go take it 1 game at a time. You also need Portland to drop because they got that extra point last night. You need them to drop their 3 remaining matches. So lose to us. We also need them to lose to Dallas then, which gives the second thing, we have to outscore Dallas by 2 points over the last 3 matches. So you need Dallas to win 1. So there's only 2 matches for Dallas to drop points there. So you need all that to happen. And then just the third condition, we got to make up a 20 goal differential on Portland in 3 matches. So, hey, you can cut that in half with a little 5-0 victory on Wednesday.
Yeah, there you go. Take care of that. Get that out of the way real quick. 5-0.
Yeah. What are you thinking in terms of our lineup? Like, is there any, like, do you think you're going to see sweeping changes? Are you going to see, what do you got?
I kind of am right there with you. I don't think there's a magic kind of solution here. If we've talked about in the past, holding guys accountable for their actions and benching them, I don't see how you can start Danny after he goes after a teammate. And obviously something else is going on with him there. Svatak, I don't know how many times I have to say that I want him in the starting lineup. I think everyone wants him in the starting lineup. I don't know why he's not starting. That is a situation where I don't think it's anything related to being, player related or the coach doesn't see what he's going to be able to bring to the field. Something else is going on there. And then, I would be fine with the same kind of setup we had last night with the 2 strikers, if it's Hot Air and Buka, and you have Seba dropping back into that space, because if you're able to get over the top of this Portland defense, which you can do, and you're going to have to score fucking goals against this team to get a result and hopefully, score 5 times and keep them out of the net entirely. So I would be okay with that if that's what we came out with the 2 strikers, a little bit of more aggressive a lineup there. But man, again, and also it's like if we're talking about benching guys for performance stuff, you can't start Owen after what he did last night.
Yeah, 100%.
And like if you can't start Pep as well, then is it going to be Alex and Joji, and we're got them matched up versus the Vander, and it's just like God damn it, dude. So, I'm going to go ahead and just say Svatok is not going to start.
Okay.
And it's not hot up there. The Heat thing is that is run out of use for me. Like that can no longer be in play for why he's not getting these starts. So I don't think he's going to start. I hope Pep starts. If anything, it's just like this is also one of the guys that we were theoretically hoping to develop and then move on and like get some return on the investment there because he's our youngest, most attractive piece. And now that he's just kind of faded from the lineup, it just hurts double.
Yeah. Also a guy that needs a contract extension if he's going to stay. I mean, we have the option, but now we're going to get into that talk. We don't need to talk options and free agency and all that. So, one thing left to do.
How much is
Austin FC winning by on Wednesday?
No, I am personally putting the dagger in this team.
Oh,
yep,
no.
It's coming right here, right now. So I hope everyone's ready. Austin FC loss 3-1 at the hands of Portland.
Damn.
That
was going to be my score.
The other way?
No, that was going to be 3-1 Portland was going to be my score, but since you're down, man.
Yeah, you take.
Let me pick up the slack here. Okay, 1-0 victory.
Why predict a 1-0 victory? You would need a 5-0 victory.
Well, we're not gonna get that.
7-0 Austin.
3-1 loss for E. That's a first in pod history. 1-0 victory for me. I guess that's just the I hate having the same pick as you type of
thing. Verde Ball.
Don't care how you get it done, boys. Like we love 3 points and a little smile. Playoffs are not, because we're pretty much resigned to no playoffs. We are resigned to no playoffs.
Let's be the spoiler. Let's spoil some stuff.
Yeah. Let's keep it pushing here. Real quick, we'll check in on.
The best keeper in the world.
Damian lost Louisville City taking on Memphis over the weekend. And we got an update from our resident Louisville City fan, Trevor Allison. And he says he only saw a little bit of this match live because he was watching Austin, parentheses, for some reason. He said Damian went the full 90 in a rain-soaked 4-2 victory over Memphis. He only saw 3 shots on target. 2 of them went in during a 4-minute stretch fairly early in the first half, both scored by the same player. First goal was a transition situation where Louisville City's defense was pretty sloppy, but they were definitely caught out. The shot ended up being 1-on-1. I think Damian timed it well when he came out, just couldn't get anything on it. I should note that Louisville City plays like they are willing to give up these chances. They trust the center backs to do a lot of work in space, and it did not work out this time. Second goal was off of a corner where the goal scorer was not marked well at all. Damian couldn't get over in time and had little help. Looked a bit like the first Detroit goal last week, scored by our Logan's buddy, Maxi Rodriguez. It's a little LDR inside scoop there. Louisville City came roaring back and had the lead at the half. Not much in doubt after that, except a true breakaway early in the second. Damian trusted his defenders and made his move at the right moment to deflect the ball and stop the attack. This might have counted as the 3rd shot on target. Overall, a bit more measured in leaving his line than the last few weeks. It seems like he learned from the aggressiveness in the last match, but the weather could have also played a part. And personnel note, Manny Perez, who's back with Louisville City, subbed in the 77th minute. Hey. So there's your Damian Loss update for the week. Another 3 points for first place, Louisville City.
That team keeps on rolling.
Come on down to Palmer Field where the champions play. Get ready for the game. It's Lost Business Day.
The last business day for you. The one part of the fandom that wasn't all doom and gloom this weekend.
That's right.
Wasn't exactly what we wanted, but love to see the fight here from the guys. Of course, taking on Whitecaps 2 out there at the pitch. Lineup comes out, CJ and Jimmy, the wing tandem, back in action together, a little roommate connection. So you love to see that. Micah Burton remained up top. You also got Sal Mazzaferro back in there on the back line. Aaron Cervantes got another start. So Sal was joined by Shaik Toure, Ruben Bonachera, Nico Van Ryn. Alonso in the midfield wearing the armband alongside Irvin Torres and Bobasi Biarhuanga. I mentioned Jimmy and CJ on the wings. Micah up top. Bench of Alstrup. Both Garcias, Chris and Anthony, Peter Grogan, Tony Gomez, Steve Louis-Jean, Diego Abarca, Brian Arellano, and Anthony De Anda. I thought, again, when we were watching this, we were out throwing some darts and stuff, kind of keeping a secondary eye on it. From what I could tell, man, like the first 35 minutes of this match was fairly evenly matched. Like not a ton of clear-cut chances from what we caught for either team. At least that were like super threatening. Vancouver here in the 37th minute, though, won a free kick from about 35 yards out, center of the park. And they play it over the top to the left side of the Austin penalty area. And one of those Vancouver players got ahead to it, but put it into the side netting. And I think Cervantes had that near post covered either way. But 3 minutes later, Vancouver back out on a counter here. Cross comes in from that left side. That's no trouble for Sal. He clears it out, but falls to Vancouver again outside the top of the 18. And then, like, not dissimilar from John Gallagher and a heavy touch, what I deem to be a heavy touch going into the path of a teammate and scoring it. Heavy touch gets away from the Vancouver player, but falls into the path of Elliot Goldthorpe, who we talked about as being their best player. And he thumps a beautiful shot. Like, this is a very, very nice shot past Cervantes into that side netting on the right. I don't know how many goalkeepers, especially at the next pro level, get to that one.
Yeah, tough one to deal with. And, I was actually happy overall with Cervantes' performance. A bounce back game, I thought, a little bit for him.
Yeah, and I mean, he has some huge moments down the stretch here. But just 4 minutes later, 44th, Austin right back on the attack. Shaik Toure plays a ball into the area from the right. CJ rises up, but a Vancouver player gets to it first, clears it out for a corner. Off that corner, it gets cleared out of the area, but Austin recycles possession from right to left, right to the feet of Jimmy. He plays the ball in. Who else? CJ rising up like a salmon, domes it home, equalized 4 minutes later. Roommate connection continues to flourish.
It's been a lot of fun to watch. It's been the best Austin soccer to watch it for a very long time now.
And then in stoppage time, man, first minute, Bobo gets a red card. It was a second yellow here, and I know he's on a yellow. I just think this call is really soft in the midfield. I think watching it live and then on the replay is like, it's shoulder to shoulder, and there's also no clear chance on here. So, like, again, you can't sit here and say it wasn't 100% deserved because you got to be careful when you're on a yellow, especially in, somewhat quick succession like that. But I thought it was harsh. I know I'm biased, but again, that was a game-changing call by this official, and, like, you don't see Bobo get too demonstrative one way or the other, and he immediately looks over to Coach Utley and is like, what do I do here? I have to be able to keep playing. Yeah.
I mean, if there's one guarantee in a next pro game, you're going to have a ref fuck something up pretty bad. This is the one right here. And unfortunately, it continues to be game-changing calls, not just bad calls. Game-changing. You have now interjected yourself into the result of this game, and that is bad. That is just you're just there to be a neutral party that is not involved in the game, and like this is just another example of these refs just not being able to handle these games.
It was just like, if that's the second yellow, like that's what you're going to boot him out on, then like he literally could not have touched anybody the rest of the game. So like he was going to get thrown out anyways.
Yeah.
So obviously coming out of the half down a man, like you're just getting pummeled by, at least possession wise, by Vancouver. Here's we're trying to bunker down a man and get to that penalty shootout, or maybe catch them out on a counter here shorthanded. Here in the 73rd minute, Vancouver crossing in from left to right, and nobody's home, but they run down that wayward cross on the right, and they send another one in right towards the top of the six. And I forget the name of this Vancouver player. He just subbed on, kind of had a big hairstyle there, and he gets ahead to it from point blank range. And again, Aaron Cervantes, fantastic stop to preserve the 1-1 scoreline here. So again, like you mentioned, I thought a good performance by Aaron.
Yeah, way to respond, man. We talked about that last goal in the North Texas matchup there, and I thought that it should have been a save, and he was able to put that behind him and bounce back, and that's what you love to see out of a young keeper.
We have a number of changes down the stretch here. Again, just a lot of the same. Vancouver in possession. Austin doing pretty well on the defensive side of the ball. You get Chris Garcia in for Jimmy in the 74th. Jimmy's working his ass off in this game, and again, still coming back from injury. So understand that. 84th, you get Tony Gomez and Diego Abarca in for CJ and Micah. In 88th minute, Peter Grogan comes on for his second appearance in for Irvin Torres. And then in stoppage time, you do get a red card to Ruben Bonachera. And again, I know I'm biased. I thought the official was once again just like a little out of pocket here because like the initial foul is a foul. I didn't think it was a yellow, and he's pretty demonstrative here, but again, it really didn't matter. We're going to penalties after that, and great performance all around. But everyone on both teams converts the first 4 rounds of the penalties. But then Aaron Cervantes with the huge save in round 5, and then Peter Grogan bangs home the winner in round 5. So you do get 2 points at home again. Really needed 3, and you could be out as soon as tonight here on Sunday because Friday, only a couple games in Next Pro. And specifically, the Houston Dynamos will pull up, for those watching on the YouTube, we'll pull up the live table. You can see the Town and LAFC 2 facing off right now. They don't have much to do with our playoff chances, but looks like Sporting KC, they were leading early today, which would have put them above Austin FC in the table. They end up getting a draw, and they lose in the penalty shootout. So Austin currently sitting in 9th. But tonight, you get Dynados, who is sitting above us on tiebreaker, tied on points. They take on Tacoma, 9 p.m. Central. That is up there in the Pacific Northwest, so we want a Tacoma victory there. Timbers 2 and Real Monarchs also are playing tonight. So we want that to be a draw. Probably want Real Monarchs to pick up that extra point there. And that would set you up for a decision day matchup against the Town FC. That'll be at the Pitch, 3 p.m. on Sunday. So we will preview that match on Thursday's episode. But let's fucking go Tacoma, man.
Yeah, bro, if we get theoretically knocked out by Houston and Dynados here in this season, that'll be that'll be great. It'll be great for my psyche.
Yeah, I know. Well, let's close it out. We get a little bit of positivity here to close out the episode. We've got a little bit of an academy update. And the first one was the top drawer soccer, right? Which I think we have mostly used to try to familiarize ourselves with draft prospects, come December every year. But they have rankings of kind of the MLS Next teams, right? So that's not just the academy teams, but also those club teams that participate in that kind of academy league that MLS runs. Our U14s ranked top 25 in the country. That's the only one of our academy teams that show up on those rankings. So again, just like their draft stuff is not 100% accurate and true, but it's cool to see the U14s pop up on that list of top 25. So congrats to those guys.
Congrats. Live up to it. Keep it going.
Yeah, right. So we did get some results today. So little Austin showdown, Cap City SC and the Austin FC Academy. U15s beat Cap City 3-1. The U14s 0-0 draw there. And then the 13s, little 6-0. How about maybe the first team take a lesson for Wednesday?
Sign them up. Bring them up.
So shout out to all the academy teams. Of course, we're keeping our eyes on them as we go. Still, very early in their season. And we'll close it out with the first bit of nonsense in a while here because we getting behind on that best ball scoring. Got the triple update out there late last week. And so week 29, Verde Pendant came out on top with 58 points. Hey, North End Podcast, second on the week, 54 points. You know, when we do anything positive, we got to bring it up because there hasn't been a ton of it this best ball season. You did have 50 points apiece in week 29 from Verde All Day and Moon Tower, so still a 7-point gap between them at the top of the table. Week 30, Verde All Day, 57 points, but Moon Tower, 54. So just a 10-point gap after the second week of updates there. And again, patting ourselves on the back, 39-19 in the spoon race. So we picked up 20 big points on Texas Ring of Fire there. And then the most recent, don't have the scoring from yesterday's games, but from last Saturday, Moon Tower bounces back. 57 points for Moon Tower, 49 for Verde All Day. Ooh. So that is just a 2-point gap with 3 scoring periods remaining. Fun to watch. Also, Verde Pendant has flip-flopped in the mid-table. They're up into third, so they're on the podium in the live table. They are 16 points ahead of We Are Austin TV for third place. And then in the spoon race, we picked up another 4 in week 31. So we have a 56-point buffer now with 3 weeks remaining over the spoon. So fingers crossed for no massive collapses, no massive September collapses for the North End like our favorite team.
I was going to say something to Harry, but I'll save it because this year some bad shit's been happening. So Harry, don't worry, buddy. Coming in our comments talking about missing playoffs.
Oh, man. Anything else for you before we shut it down here on episode 178?
Dear God, no.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, that'll wrap it up, my friends. We appreciate you sticking with us, tuning in. If you made it this far, you're a real one. We'll be back on Thursday recapping Austin FC's late night match out there against the Timbers, previewing Austin FC's road match against the Galaxy, previewing FCito's decision day matchup against the Town, and talking about everything else that happens in the Austin FC universe between now and then. Enjoy the beginning of your week, everybody. We'll do the same. We'll see you back here on Thursday for another edition of the North End Podcast. Until then, he's E, and I'm Zach. Vamos Austin FC, everybody. Goodbye.